families, they do have husbands, but you have to understand that those husbands sometimes are like puppets. Sometimes they're sitting near the wife and they don't know what to do. And it's very sad to see that, because usually the partner is supposed to give the support, and sometimes they're like flat face, like without motion, because they're not with us.
Welcome to What Came After. I'm your host, Manya Marcus. On What Came After, we'll take a look at the many ways people's lives have changed since the brutal massacre in Israel on October 7th, 2023. We'll be speaking to people around the world to learn how this profound moment in Jewish and global history continues to shift, shape, and change them. To learn more, please visit us at whatcameafter.com. It is January 14th, 2026, if you can believe it. And I am really honored to be sitting here with Channi Rabinovitz.
Yes.
Okay. So Channi is also here with her husband, Itzhik Rabinowitz. Everybody who's listened to this show has also heard Itzhik on it because he was one of our guests for the episode that we did about Ripples of Healing, Einot Bar. So you guys are just becoming famous on this podcast. Your whole family is, I'm sure, going to be on it at some point. Anyway, thank you so much for coming. You guys are in from Israel. I'll just start by saying that your husband suggested that you and I meet because he felt you had an important story to tell as a midwife in Israel. And so I want to start by asking you who you are, what hats you wear, what different roles you play, and then we can move into talk a little bit about how your work has been affected by the war.
Well, okay, I'm a midwife, a mother, grandmother. I'm like 27 years a nurse, also a midwife for 20 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I work in 2 different hospitals, and today I work in Ashdod Hospital. In the middle of these 8 years I'm working there, the war came. We're treating young women that sometimes they came alone. Sometimes they came with different backgrounds about different issues. If it's because the situation, if it's because the home, the house, the political situation. We're not only midwife. We have to receive everything, and the outcome has to be positive in the end. It's going to influence to the child, the labor, and et cetera, et cetera. It has influence for the future. It's very significant.
Let me ask you, you were a nurse for a long time before you became a midwife. You became a midwife in your mid-40s, if I'm guessing correctly.
Right.
What made you decide to go in that direction?
To bring life. It's very important.
So let me ask you this. The challenges that you had in your profession before October 7th, how would you describe those? And then how would you describe the new challenges that have emerged after October 7th?
Now the package is heavier. Everybody comes to labor carrying more stuff. And most of the time we don't know because we don't have time. We have other issues to deal. We're not a social worker, but we feel it in the labor. We feel in the environment what's going on. And we have to be very delicate and to don't touch points that are going to have a negative direction in the labor itself.
I think that labor and delivery is different in Israel than it is in America. How early in the pregnancy do you encounter a pregnant woman, or do you see her for the first time when she's in labor?
I could see her from the 2nd, 3rd month already. Yeah.
So you do develop a relationship?
Yeah. And after 6 weeks.
So you see people postpartum for 6 weeks?
Because I was working also in the clinic and the hospital. So combine the 2 fields. Most of the midwives are not like this. I just work in 2 places.
So what's the difference between being in the hospital and being in the clinic?
In the clinic, you have more time. There's open space. And the hospital is specific. They came more or less for labor or around labor issue. And the clinic is the environment. I have to teach them the different way of life, dietitian, and all the other issues that is important for pregnant women.
I think, being in this field, it can be heavy, right? This is what you're saying. People have baggage with them,
Yeah.
and then you feel what they bring to the room. We will delve into this a little bit later, but it seems like you've never been afraid of being in touch with people's hardest things, like depth and pain doesn't scare you. Is
No.
that something you would say?
No, we live in the place that the fact of life is part of the cycle. So, but we have to try to live with that in the positive and negative way. Keep on
Would
going.
you say that in general, you're somebody who kind of runs towards whatever is difficult because that's where you're needed?
Part of the nurses that work in emergency midwifery, this is the type of people.
You like action.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting pivot because you weren't actually raised originally in Israel. You chose a high action location for yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about where you're from and when you came to Israel?
I was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I came to Israel at 14 years old by myself in the middle of the high school. So I have to cope with the level of different issues in terms of studies, culture, friends, etc. with others in my age. I was studying in a type of school that they had students from all over the world. So I wasn't unique in the terms. So it was easier to adjust. And then I finished high school after 2.5 years, and I went to national service for a year in hospital field. I work in dialysis. And then I went to study.
So it's hard for me to imagine. We were just talking about the fact that I have a 10-and-a-half-year-old at home. It's hard for me to imagine in 3.5 years, she says to me, I'm moving across the world. And I say, have fun. How was that conversation with your family? Were they supportive?
No. My father was quite furious about it. But from the root, from the education that I got at home, was a positive thing. It wasn't something negative. But it's still hard to leave the house and to say bye-bye to your own child. But it wasn't something negative. So he couldn't limit. He couldn't
He
stop
couldn't?
me.
He
couldn't
could.
Stop. No.
He didn't.
He didn't.
So you and your husband were part of a youth movement that I would like you to tell us about, but it was very encouraging of making Aliyah. Is that right?
Yeah, it's part of the education. Yeah, it was the same school that I was studying. It's the same direction.
Can you tell us about what you learned in Jewish school in Argentina?
Jewish school was it's called integral that they learning in the morning. They must study in the school.
Like general studies.
General study at 1 p.m. And after a break of lunchtime, we start the Hebrew studies. I'm talking about Jewish studies, and all the teachers that didn't speak Spanish. They came just from Israel, so we couldn't speak with them in Spanish. So this is the way that I learned Hebrew. So when I came to Israel, I knew already Hebrew because the level in the high schools in Argentina is very high in Hebrew because that.
And when we spoke previously, I found out that you had a secret plan. Maybe it wasn't secret, but you were trying to get some other people to come with you. What was the story?
The story was that if I was coming, there was the push that my parents would come after me. Plan success. After a year, my brother, I have only one brother, he came after a year after me. And then the parents came after 2.5 years when I finished.
Did they want to come? Were they kicking and screaming?
But it's difficult. It's not easy to change all your life and to leave the house, to leave the environment, to leave the friends. It's difficult. It's much easier for a single person to live and change the life, but for a family, it's very difficult.
What year was it when you moved to Israel?
76.
Okay, so we were 3 years out from the Yom Kippur War. Well, how would you describe the culture? What did you encounter when you arrived there?
I found what I expect because it helped me very much. I was in a type of school that they had international people from all over. So it was everybody more or less, they had the same situation. There were people from Israel, the majority, but there were some not. So they were used to that, to receive girls and that they are from other countries.
I'm sort of curious when you moved there if you thought about the possibility of being present during wars. Israel has had a lot of wars. It's a
No,
complicated
I
place.
didn't think about it.
You know-
Didn't care. No,
It didn't occur to you.
no, at all.
Did your parents have any concerns about safety there?
I don't know. Maybe, but in the time that I came, the political situation in Buenos Aires wasn't good. It was Peron and all the revolution. So I think in that term, it was safe to be in Israel than in Argentina in those times. Yeah.
Okay, choosing between
Yeah.
two.
Yes, of course. So maybe this is why my father wasn't so much against in the end, and he signed.
He signed the dotted line, yes.
Yeah.
You have children. Can you tell us a little bit about your kids? How many do you have? What genders? Tell us about your family.
I have a girl. She's a lawyer. She has 5 children. She's married, and I have another 4 boys. They're all married with grandchildren. The youngest is 28. The second is Lieutenant Colonel. He has a high range in the army, but his job is not in the army. But in the war, he was in charge of more than 1,000 soldiers in the war. And the responsibility to the soldiers and their families, and parallel to that, to think that he has his own home with wife and children, different package. I have another boy. He's also married with 7 children.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the spouses they had to deal with was no husband. The thing is, when you are in duty in the war, the soldier's mind cannot think about the house.
Right.
They separate completely. They have a psychology process that they teach them how to separate, to don't think about the house. You're not allowed to, because you cannot
focus.
You cannot focus. It's very, very dangerous. And that's what happened. So the second one was also in a high range in the army, different field. And another one that he's a principal of school, he's in education. In the army was in the intelligence part. The little one, 28, he's also a commander, but he works in the health association.
So I met with you and your husband yesterday, and I said to both of you, are you glad that you moved to Israel? You've got 4 sons in combat. It's been very hard on everybody for all the reasons you're describing. Both of you looked at me like it was the stupidest question I could possibly have asked. You're happy you moved to Israel?
I believe that it's the safest place. I still believe it. I'm telling you, now I'm in America. I'm still thinking that when I get to Israel, it's my home. I believe that it's no safe place like Israel. Even all the security that I passed through international airports here and in Frankfurt, et cetera, nothing to compare.
Oh, well, I would agree with that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But your husband said that the next question maybe I should ask is, did you sleep when your kids were serving in combat? So I'll ask you that question.
Well, I slept because I guess my shifts were exhausted, emotionally and physically, but my cell phone is always on. That wasn't like this 4 years ago. The weekends I used to turn off when I wasn't on duty, I was turning off the cell phone, but today my phone is always on.
Even on Shabbat,
Even
which
on Shabbat,
you guys are religious. So
I'm always on alert, and I have to take the consideration that it's part of life. And I got used to that. It's always to be intense. But in the end, you live with it. It's difficult to say you get used to that, but you're living that way.
I kind of feel like, and my children are so small, right? But I sort of feel like there's the experience of getting used to something difficult yourself, which is one thing. And then there's the experience of watching your children start to take on all the difficulties in life. And it's a different feeling. Unfortunately,
the children in Israel, they're used to that. They know how to act. They know the rules. They know the teachers in schools and kindergarten, they're teaching the children how to act. Also at home, it's part of life.
Tell us about your boys and the work that they've done in the army. Do you think that they were ready for this level of It's a long war. It's a
No.
hard war. It's also a long war. What do you see from them?
They had a lot of responsibility, but they couldn't imagine the war was taking so long. The amount of days and months they were away from home is incredible. And, they missed part of the education of the children, festivities. My little one, he had a 3 months little girl. When he saw her next time, she was already 8 months.
Wow.
And she was scared of death to look at him. She was crying hysterical. She didn't want to look at him. She didn't want to touch him.
She didn't know who he was.
Yeah, and he was crying. He took him more than a month to get close to her. He missed part of the raising of the child. That age, every step is very significant. So they're missing a lot. Sometimes in terms of medical things that they need 2 people, 2 adults. Another one that has problems physically with some child and they needed the 2 parents that they couldn't have. They affect a lot the family. I believe that the real heroes are the spouses, the wives that really hold the house. It was very, very difficult.
Did you find that your relationship with your daughters-in-law changed at all during the war?
Not sure. I couldn't tell.
Did they find ways of getting more support?
The community helps a lot. Still, it's not like the husband, The support usually is physically, like in the weekends, hot meals, cakes, and all that. Sometimes you need to sleep. You need to take the children away. You need to, every day in the morning, to take all the children to dress. In the end, one of the grandsons, that is quite talented in cooking, he was invited to an army base to cook for soldiers with a chef.
Wow.
They made a really chef meal.
Yeah.
Gourmet. And, this is an experience of 14 years old child.
Okay, so I just want to repeat this because Itzhik doesn't have a microphone. He's saying that essentially some of the older grandchildren, we would call it in psychology, they became parentified, right? They were put in the role of parents prematurely. It wasn't such a healthy thing, but it was a necessary thing, right? It sounds like at least one of them discovered a talent for cooking, but, maybe he shouldn't have had to at 14 been cooking Shabbat meals for his family and other families. Eventually it led him to, it sounds like kind of a cool opportunity to go to an army base and cook, but you want your kids to make these choices and not to be forced into these situations, right. And it's a very different
For
journey.
him, I'm sure that for that child, he thought that was cool, but if I'm talking about from different glasses,
yeah,
it's crazy that 14 years old, 12 years old, they're doing things that the adult's supposed to do, and for them, it's like part of the childhood. But they don't look at that. I think the children,
they don't know something different, you mean?
They don't know that they miss some of the... No, they're living with that. 2 years already. 2.5 years.
So let me ask you something about how you sort of, you're saying that soldiers, when they're in combat, when they're doing their work, they have to turn their brain off and forget about the home, or else it's dangerous. You were working with women. You have worked with women who've lost their husbands, their spouses, their partners to the war, while you have sons of your own serving in that same war in the same dangerous conditions.
Terrible feeling.
How do you do that? Do you also have to turn part of yourself
when
off?
I'm at work, I'm at work. I have the uniform. I'm going inside the labor room. Everything stay in the back. And I'm focused to the pregnant woman, to the labor. And I can't compare. I don't talk about my family, because I can't deal with it. I can't.
Your husband said that you said, which is a beautiful comment, that the labor room is the holy of holies, right? Can you explain that, what you mean by it?
Everything is very pure there. That every word, every movement, every act is something that is very significant. I have to measure my words, my acts, the way that I move, the way that I show myself, express myself, because everything is very like a signature. And if she's alone, even more.
I mean, I know that your husband was in the military. He has military experience, Air Force, etc. But have you thought about how the role that you play now, where you have to just put the blinders on and leave the world outside, it's a similar thing for your sons, right? Have you ever thought about that there's a parallel there?
Of course, yeah. It's difficult to think about because it's far, but it's reality.
So the reason that I originally met your family, your husband, was because he is a huge supporter, all of you are, of Einot Bar, Ripples of Healing, this hydrotherapy trauma clinic in the Negev. I had an opportunity to visit a month or so ago, such a special place. But, you know, in the previous episode that your husband was featured on, he talked a lot about some of your son's trauma. What has that been like for you? Are you involved in their treatment at all? What do you know about Einot Bar? Sort of curious where you fall into this story.
Well, in the beginning, we were curious to know what is Einot Bar because one of the sons told us that he went to visit there and he got a treatment and was very good. So we didn't know what it was. So we took a car and we went to see. And then we saw that a lot of soldiers, a lot of soldiers, they came there and they're getting treatment, make them like a transformation, that just like erase some of the impacts that were in the war, make the feelings more smooth. Something happened in the water. Just the water has a lot of energy. I can also compare because we make water birth also, and there's a lot of energy in the water that I don't know how, but exists. And the impact is very strong. And he told us, our son, that was good. And he started getting better. When he came for some break from the war, he was talking in such a way that I couldn't believe that I'm talking with my son. He wasn't him.
Mm-hmm. How was he different?
He couldn't see reality in front of his eyes. He thought that the people are crazy. Everybody's crazy outside.
Meaning like their lives are normal. How could they be normal while this is all happening?
He couldn't see that the reality is different. He was 5 months in Gaza. He was living with mud and dark windows and no air, no food, no showers, minimal things to eat. This for their life for 5 months, 5.5 months.
That's a long time.
A long time. So he didn't know anything else. He erased everything from his mind, from the house. He couldn't think about it because he had to be very concentrated on his duty, a lot of responsibility. So when he came out, it was a shock.
For him and for you.
Yes, but for him, it's wow.
And so after he started doing treatments in the water, how did you see him start to come back to himself?
Very slowly, very, very slowly. We had to give him space, time.
Was it hard for you to give space?
Well, if I wasn't working, it was hard. But I was working, so I was busy with my own. But it was hard, of course.
You know, it's something that I hear a lot in these interviews. Work is therapy.
Yes.
To have something to do is
yes.
so much better than not to have something to do.
Of course.
Have you always felt that way?
Yes. Because when you don't do anything, your mind is working. So you're thinking about the worst things. And yeah.
Do you primarily do water births, or is that just part of your...
No, I was registered for that as part of the specialty of midwife. Not all the midwives does it, but lately it becomes quite famous in my hospital.
Yeah? In Ashdod?
In Ashdod, but there are some other hospitals that they do it also.
So I would like you to describe this. Your husband has talked about it a little bit, but you know, somebody is coming into labor and delivery and they've lost their husband. Can you describe some of the ways that they try to bring their husband into this experience?
Well, wow. It's really scary for the midwife, for all the entire, it's very special. The environment is very delicate. We try to focus that the husband is there. He's there. And with our pictures, usually it comes natural. The husband is there.
That they
feel
that.
the image is there. She talks with the husband. Before the labor, she developed a lot of pictures she puts all around. If it's in the pool or if it's in the room, he's inside the room. She talks with him, and it's very emotional, all the environment. Usually those girls, they come with a friend or some good partner, mother maybe, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it's a friend.
Had you done this before this war?
No.
No, this is the first time.
This is the first time that we deal in midwifery in such a strong way. We never had something like that.
I think I'm wondering, is this something that you talk about with your colleagues, that you guys are developing a way of doing this and bringing in the...
Yeah, the National Midwifery Association, they made a few projects because the war, like it's a project that's called By Your Side.
Yes, Litzhik, we did an interview with somebody who's part of it, yes.
So we go along with the pregnant woman since the middle of the pregnancy and the labor and after the labor. We go with her whatever she wants, and as soon as she needs to give birth, we're coming to her. Doesn't matter which hospital, doesn't have to be in Ashdod, and we go with her. It's a process. Every midwife more or less takes 1 or 2 cases like this. Mm-hmm. It's very heavy. It's hard. Mm-hmm. Because you know that you're on call, you have to be with her. You can miss, you can make, I don't feel good. It doesn't exist.
You have to be fully reliable.
I have to. And as soon as she comes to the hospital, doesn't matter where are you go to her. So it's quite private. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very important. It's nice. It helps a lot.
But what about you? Meaning, do you ever give yourself an opportunity to fall apart?
Well, my husband listens to the stories when I'm coming at 12 p.m. and every time, how was it? Was something interesting? Yeah.
So you tell him?
Yeah.
Is it in your dreams? I mean, this sounds like such a difficult and powerful thing.
Yeah, sometimes it's in my dreams, but I'm trying to get tired, to fall asleep. Mm-hmm. Because for me, if I can sleep, helps.
Is there any particular story that you can share, something that was really powerful for you to witness, a woman who is delivering with this sort of like presence of her husband, but not her actual husband?
There's a lot of stories like this. Mm-hmm. With the midwife that she came with a dog. And usually dogs don't come to the hospital.
Sure.
But he had a special permission from the head of the hospital. The dog was inside the labor with the midwife, with the midwife and with the pregnant. And the dog helped her to give birth. It's a special dog. So
there are like protocols that exist, rules and stuff, and everything has to be flexible.
Very flexible. It's type of like VIP, of course. Mm-hmm. Now we have less because since the war, the pregnant woman already gave birth. Mm-hmm. We're after 2 years. The projects by you is also by families that do have husbands. But you have to understand that those husbands sometimes are like puppets. They don't know how to act. They didn't pass all the process of pregnancy, all the changes emotionally or hormonals and all that. Sometimes they're sitting near the wife and they don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. And it's very sad to see that because usually the partner is supposed to give the support, and sometimes they're like flat face, like without motion, because they're not with us. In the middle, you can have hallucination of something from the war.
So she's giving birth, and the husband or the partner will have a hallucination.
Physically, he's there, but he's not there.
Yeah.
So that happened a lot, and it's very sad.
It's interesting because you're describing when the partner has actually died. You find ways of bringing him to be present.
Yeah.
And sometimes the partner is alive and you can't figure out
exactly
how to make him be there.
You express exactly what is true. It's a lot. And also happened a lot that they came in between the contractions, like a few hours, and they came with
their gear.
With their uniform, all dusty and dirty, but they made it in the last minute, and it's very exciting.
That sounds very exciting.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's wow. Suddenly the lights.
It's
Right.
just so, it's a
Happen a
lot
lot.
of drama. I mean, it's, of course, it's
And
life.
you know, the midwife can sometimes, we can control when to tell the lady to push. So we're waiting, take a deep breath, and we are counting, we're looking, maybe he's already in the elevator, maybe he's parking, and happen. And it is exciting. And when the husband comes, it's wow.
How was your hospital impacted by the war with Iran?
Not really. It's a brand new building from 9 years ago, the hospital. So 100% of the building is protected. So even with in the war, the labors continue naturally. They didn't hear anything. Nothing happened. Only the siren from the smartphones we could hear.
Wow.
But in the staff, it's different.
What was it like to get in your car to get to work during these? Because you're essential.
To make a quick pray and to drive all the way and blinking sometimes the lights in the car when, you know, I have a special sign in my car that I'm a medical staff.
Oh, so you have like kind of a special pass to go past traffic.
Yeah, I hope that helps. I don't know. God helps that I get safe, and sometimes it's hard, it's nerves, but you have to concentrate that you're driving. So
how would you compare the experience of working during this war to working during COVID?
Oh, it's nothing to do. It's the tension is much high now. COVID, you have to cover and you pray that you don't get sick. You do your best. But in the war, it's not up to you. It's different.
So I know that I'm a therapist, and I'm trying to imagine all these things that you're holding, right? Concern for your sons and your children, concern for their spouses, concern for their family, and then also this immense amount of weight you take on in the work that you do as a midwife, and not just a midwife, but sometimes supporting people, women, way beyond what it used to be because they don't have what they need in terms of support. And I'm really thinking, how does a person not explode?
This is the part of the midwife, I guess.
I think so. I think it's part of being a midwife. I also think it's part of being Israeli right now. It's
true. But midwife, you need a lot of patience.
Yeah.
Because the clock doesn't move according to some rules. The clock moves according to the time that God say that the baby has to come out.
Right.
So you need a lot of patience. I use that quality of patience for other fields, emotional fields, and I take advantage of a lot of points from midwifery to other fields.
So you extrapolate out. You take what you learn at work and you bring it into life. But I do think that there is one story that we should close with that helps me understand who you are and why this is all possible for you. And it's actually not related to your career as midwife, but much earlier when you worked in dialysis.
Well, this is a different story that I wait a lot.
Yes, but it you did, but it shows something about you that I think is important for people to understand, because I know that a lot of people are listening to this and saying, I could never do that. I couldn't hold all these things at once.
Now I can explain why everybody can do that.
Yeah,
everybody's healthy.
Okay. All right. So tell us how your very earliest experience working with dialysis patients affected you.
I was in national service for a year in the hospital. The field that I chose to be in national service was in the hospital. And suddenly, after 2 months to be in a certain apartment, they told me to move to dialysis children. So I moved to dialysis children. I lived with dialysis children for like 10 months. And I saw their life. In the hospital, they have a very strict rules about everything because it is hospital. So suddenly I got Saturday night a telephone call from the head of the hospital. I said, "Oh God, what I did! I did something wrong.
I must have made a huge mistake."
My heartbeat was going high. They told me that there's a little child, 6 years old. They came from Argentina, and they need dialysis. They don't know any word besides Spanish. I'll say, okay, I'm going to use my language to help them. So they came Sunday morning, and the first thing they had to do dialysis because the child was with kidney problems. Since then, I was there in dialysis children. During those 10 months, I lived and what's going on there, and I understood that each one of them, if they could have another healthy kidney, they saved their life. And I saw during those months death and very sad situations. And thank God the year finished. And I say, wow, I have to put it in my bag. I have to
store it
to
somewhere.
store it,
Yeah.
because I couldn't keep it live like this. It's very emotionally to work in those. And staying in the storage, I'm never going to forget what I live with them. During all these years, I thought, why don't you donate a kidney and to save a life? You can save life in different ways, to work in the hospital, to be in the ambulance, But this was in my mind. And then I went to study. I was dating when one of the questions always was, what about donations of organs? What do you think about?
So you're saying that you would be dating somebody and you would say to him, so what do you think about the idea of organ donation?
We opened the issue, and suddenly he said that no, if God gave us 2 kidneys, you get 2 eyes and 2 ears, you can't make transformation from the nature. So I said, okay, I'm going to kick him out. I don't want to see him.
That ended.
So that's what happened with 1 or 2. Until finally I find my husband, and he was a son of a doctor and understood that the base is different. The years passed and we had children, and was no time to do things like that. I have to raise the children, to stay with a package like this to my husband. So they got married, they're all set. I say, okay, this is the time I want to donate a kidney. And suddenly, a few years ago, I read an article about some organization that they organize altruistic donations.
Altruistic donations. They facilitate that.
Yeah. That's called Matnat Chaim, the give of life.
Yeah.
So I say, wow, it's just what I wanted, but I didn't know how to do that because it's a big process. Has to be legal. It's not private, and it's no question of money. It's a lot of question of medical issues. So I'm going to ring them. And since then, everything was history. A lot of tests and analysis and all kind of different, all the body. And I know since then that I'm very healthy. Thank God.
Thank God.
And so they told me, okay, choose the date. I chose the date of Yom HaShoah, this is the
Holocaust Remembrance Day.
I am a midwife. I bring life, and it's a different way to bring life. It's amazing. The stories that comes from this organization, they see people that came to life.
You said that you met the recipient about an hour before the donation.
Just an hour before, was a lady that she was in the way to the grave. We took a picture of her together. And she didn't have any colors of life, nothing. She was with the 2 children.
Gray, right?
She was all gray. And after 2 days of the operation, the head of the department came to me and said, Channi, you're not going to believe the bag of urine from the recipient is exploding from your kidney. And I said, wow, it's from my kidney? I couldn't believe. I was in shock. I gave life. A person that could be already in the grave. She's a mother of children, just like me.
But you have this focus that really runs throughout, I would say, the parts of your life that I know about. That's just such an intense focus on life-giving and life-bringing and healing. You do it even though there is a cost. There might be a cost. I want to tell people that you only had a very short and easy recovery, because I want people to think that maybe they can donate, who listen to this.
But it's true. The recovery is not so long.
Yeah, but, when you're doing something like a surgery, you never totally know, and you take risks. You do hard things.
But you do have 2 kidneys. And 1 kidney, according to what I learned, after a year, the kidney that stay alone, grow up, function like 2 kidneys. And that's it. I feel great after 2.5 years. I eat everything. I don't have any limitation.
I would like to say this, if you're okay with it. How old were you when you donated your kidney?
63.
Okay. Itzhik is coming in.
You often participate in marathons, like the Jerusalem Marathon, Tel Aviv Marathon.
You run?
I used to run. Now Chani runs, but I don't do a marathon. I only do like 5 kilometers now. And Chani also comes with me. And she has this shirt says, I have 1 kidney, but I'm in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I love that you also have such a sense of humor. That's amazing.
So we have t-shirts like this. We have a group chat of kidney donors and we run marathons. And it's really fun because you can do everything. You go back to life after a very short time.
But I want to understand from your perspective why it was so significant to donate your kidney and save someone's life on Yom HaShoah.
Because Yom HaShoah is the time that they want to erase us. So we bring life. They asked me, which day you want? So I took a look at the calendar and said, I want to soon as possible, but soon was very close to Yom HaShoah. That day I want. Yes.
That's really amazing.
I believe now that if I wouldn't do that, I wasn't in peace with myself. I did something significant to the humanity.
Mm-hmm.
We don't live for ourselves. We live to make good to the world, to humanity. We don't live just for physical things.
Honey, it has been such a pleasure to sit with you. I'm so glad that your husband pushed us to do this and even chimed in with this hilarious t-shirt that you have, because it really is a marvel that somebody like you is out there and doing these things. It's not just the kidney donation. You really are bringing life every day. So thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Great.
I'm just telling you that we have checkup every year for all the donors.
And you're doing great.
Yeah.
Listen, everybody, I just want to say that Chani hasn't been to America in 44 years? Okay. And you are trekking around in a blizzard right now. You're ready to roll. She's healthy. Donate a kidney. Get some information. We'll put the link in the notes so that people know. But anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe to What Came After wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us online at whatcameafter.com.